I just did a 350K revenue school launch from my bedroom. You guys can see I'm here in my robe, comfortable. 200K cash collected, and in this video, I'm going to show you guys how I did it and how you guys can do a successful launch, even if you don't have an audience. So if we look here, synthesizer scaling was the offer, was where we collected payments, and as you can see in the dashboard, SKOOL makes it easy. We can see that there's 180K one-time sales, 31K MRR, which is the payment plans, which equals about 200K cash collected, and the rest are coming through on payment plans. So step one to doing a launch is attract the pre-launch countdown, because you guys see there are three systems you need to build and launch a business. You need the attraction system, which is how you get people interested in your business, how you get leads, how you get eyeballs, how you make people aware of you. You need a way to convert those eyeballs into paying customers, because all the eyeballs in the world are useless if they don't do anything for you, if they're not your ideal customer. And then you need a way to deliver results. And that's it. That's the core of any business online. If you name a business, you can simplify the foundations of their business down to these three core principles: attracting customers, attracting leads, attracting eyeballs, converting those eyeballs into paying customers, and then delivering on their promises. If we take something as simple as Amazon, you go on Amazon, you look up, you find something you want. Maybe you get an ad for something, you click the ad for this new vacuum cleaner, 2-in-1 vacuum cleaner. You hop on the website, you see the landing page, you see the offer, you pay me $30, I give you your vacuum cleaner in the same day shipping. You buy, and then they deliver it same day. That is the core of the whole entire business. Now, a lot of people look at this and they think, oh, if I'm going to start a business, I need all these complicated systems, all these funnels set up. I need a sales page, I need a VSL, I need a funnel, I need a sales script, I need the offer, I need the pitch. I need a calendar setup, I need Zapier automations to notify me every time somebody clicks on the link and books a call. I need to automatically add them into my Go High Level CRM. I need all these fancy bells and whistles to launch a business. And that actually holds a lot of people back. But in reality, all you need to start a business is an offer. That is the core of it all. We can picture it like a ship. If your business is a ship, it's sitting in harbor right now. Maybe you've launched it, maybe it's sailing off, maybe it isn't. But in order to start sailing, so set sail, all you need is a destination in order that you need to sail to. And that starts with your offer. And we define an offer as a solution to a problem. Because again, here people think, they come up with ideas. They think, oh, I have this idea for who I could help. I think I could help so-and-so. I think this is an idea for an offer. I see somebody else crushing it with this offer. I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy them. I'm just going to make something up. But ideas don't create good businesses. Problems create good businesses. And if you want to launch a successful business, you need to center it around, framing it around as a solution to a problem. And if you don't have a problem, you don't have a business. And if you don't have the solution to the problem, you don't have the business. You're just going to be a snake oil salesman. Then once you have this fundamental first step, then you build out the rest of the systems as you go. Instead of thinking you need an attraction system right from day one, conversion system, delivery system, you need to spend 3 months building out your product before you even start. You build it as you go instead of just building it from day one. It's just in time creation instead of just in case creation. And when you do this, you're organically solving your own problems one in order instead of just making up and guessing what your future problems will be. So you start with the offer, and then that's the transaction between you and the market. You give me X, I give you Y. Then once you have that, the first thing you need to do after you have an offer is you need to find people who have that problem, who want the solution to it. You need to find people who want the offer. And that is why you start with the attraction system. You start finding people who want what you have. And then once you find them, then you can worry about how can I turn those people into paying customers. That is when you build your conversion system. You build it for the attraction system. And then once you're converting people, you only start delivering and giving results and working on the delivery systems once you have customers. Otherwise, you're going to be making stuff up. You're going to be guessing what people want and need, and it's just never going to work, and you're going to waste a ton of time. And I've actually done this where I've spent 6 months, thinking about this business I wanted to start, working on it, building it, working on course modules, the community, the funnel, all this stuff, just spending every day thinking, what do I need to do? How do I sell? What do I price? Coming up with 8 different pricing tiers, all this stuff. And it just took forever and I didn't make any progress. Versus when you start with the offer and then you begin to launch and you build these things as you go, suddenly your leverage, your time and energy is way higher leveraged in terms of what you do. Now, this leads us to the next question of, if I'm launching something, what do I launch? Am I launching a cohort, a community, a course? What do I do? And here again, people oftentimes misunderstand the evolution of launching and growing a business, where they think, I want to do the most scalable model. I'm going to start a course. I'm going to build a course. I'm going to create a course. Or they think, I think a cohort would be fun. I'm going to do a cohort. Or they think I need to do one-on-one coaching, done for you service, whatever it may be. But in reality, there's scalable tiers of launching as you go through online business. And you start with the least scalable so you can work your way up to the most scalable. And when you do it this way, it also builds as you go. Instead of having to spend the first 3 months of your business, first 6 months of your business building a course, you work for people for free through coaching one-on-one unscalably from the beginning, which gives you the understanding of the market, which makes sure you understand their problems and you understand what solutions they actually need instead of guessing. You use that understanding to build the cohort, which is one to few. This is where you transition from one-on-one. When your time starts getting burned out, you can only service so many one-on-one clients at a time. You can transition to one to few, where you begin to service more people at slightly greater scale. Then you build that as you go. And then once you've built that, the cohort becomes the course. And it's proven to work because you just walked people through it. So here you need to just ask yourself, which stage of this journey am I at? And for us in this launch, we had done a lot of one-on-one coaching. I'd done a lot of one-on-one coaching, had a lot of clients, and had great understanding of the steps they needed to take in order to get the result, the solution to their problem, which means for us, it was time to do a cohort launch, one to few. So look into our offer. Our offer, synthesizer scaling, as you guys know, showed you this. And the niche for the offer was educational creators, because the niche is a core component of the offer that sometimes people separate. They think of their business in terms of niche and offer, and they think of them separately. They think offer first, then niche, niche, then offer. But in reality, they're very intertwined, and you can't separate them, and you shouldn't separate them, because the offer is for the niche, and the niche creates the offer. So our niche was educational creators, people who solve problems and share solutions through content online. Now, specifically, we narrowed this down even more by asking ourselves, who can we help and who can't we help, or who do we not want to help? And when we asked ourselves that, we came to the conclusion that the people we could help the most was people who've solved a valuable problem. If you've solved a valuable problem, you have value to share. If you've solved a problem, you can share the solution, which means this ruled out beginners for us. This ruled out beginners. We couldn't service beginners, and therefore none of our marketing was targeted towards beginners. Then the outcome, again, this is another super overcomplicated thing. We had to ask ourselves, what do people want? What do people want? And at the end of the day, the simplest version of what people want, what people come to us asking for help with, is two-faceted. And the first is the selfish, where they want to make more money. And the second, something unique about synthesizing this idea of solving problems and sharing solutions, is they want to help people. Now, we're not here to just make money. We want to make beautiful money. Money where the giver of the money is happy to give it and you are happy to receive it. It's a win-win, which makes the world a better place instead of being selfish and just thinking take, which again added to our niche, because now the outcome of helping people and making money attracts the right people to our business. The people who just want quick, easy, fast, dirty money, they're not going to be attracted to this. And the people who just want to help people and don't want to make money, they're also not going to be attracted to this outcome. And we can get even more specific, where in terms of synthesizer scaling, what we've done in our proof, and therefore what we can help people with, So you scale a business to do $10,000 a month and then $100,000 a month. So that is the specific tangible range of the offer. Scaling from up to $10,000 to $100,000 per month. Then our mechanism. That part of the offer is just how you get people the results. What do you walk them through? What do you do differently from other people? And here what I've noticed people do wrong is there's kind of two stages to the mechanism. There's two paths you can take. And the first path is what Russell Brunson calls an improvement offer. An improvement offer. You take what's working in the market, you take what people are already doing, and you maybe add a few more bells and whistles. You maybe do it a little differently. You maybe give a little extra one-on-one support. But it's just taking other offers and just adding a little improvement to it, doing it your own way, and then saying, hey, everybody, I'm doing this too. It's an improvement offer. But in reality, what you want is a new opportunity offer, which Russell coins as a new opportunity offer. And this is where you have something new, a new change to the market, something you do completely radically differently. And we find this by looking at what people are doing in the market and then seeing what they are doing wrong and what is holding them back from getting results, and then positioning our mechanism, our offer, as the opposite. Because then we can tell someone, and we can say if they come and buy a car and they're looking to buy a car, they come into the shop, instead of saying, oh, it's the exact same car, just a little newer, it'll get you there a little bit faster, a little bit quieter, a little bit more enjoyable ride, we can tell them, no, the car you're driving in is completely wrong. That is the wrong car for you. That's the reason you're not getting to where you want to be. That's why you're not having fun. What you need is actually this completely different car, this completely different mechanism that will solve your problem once and for all. And it creates this aha moment where instead of the person having to blame themselves and say, I suck, that's why I'm not getting results, it's showing them, you don't suck. You're just doing the wrong thing. You're working on the wrong thing. And you should just be working on it this way. And now that you hear this, you're going to see this a lot in people's marketing on YouTube, on social media, everywhere. People are always going to be saying, the old way is bad, try my new way. So be wary of this. Take it with a grain of salt. Every time you see somebody saying, oh, the old way sucks, try my new way, evaluate it for yourself. And don't just take things at surface value. So here we looked at our mechanisms. And the easiest way to find these things is to find what you actually did. Don't make it up. Never teach what you haven't done. Never teach what you don't really understand. Teach what you have done and what you do understand, because that is what you are qualified to teach. So we have a scaling system that we've used. I went from 0 to 10K a month in 90 days following it, and then to 100K a month beyond with SKOOL. Specifically, I would even add a freemium SKOOL, which was a new idea that nobody was talking about, where you're having the benefits of both a free and a paid SKOOL community. Then we defined our price, which was $5,800, and set some urgency and scarcity in terms of how many people we wanted to select, and that was 60. And the way we came up with these two things was first looking at the value of what we are providing, and then ensuring that value is greater than the price. Because buying behavior happens when the value of what you provide is greater than the price, and that's it. If you can charge anything in the world, if the value you provide is greater than the price. And of course, the value, people again misconstrue. It's really in terms of the outcome, the transformation. What transformation can you get somebody, and how valuable is it to make that transformation? And that will then tell you your price. And if you're not sure, you just look in the market, look what other people are charging for. And that'll give you a good idea. Now, in terms of urgency, scarcity for spots, this again, you don't want to pick a random number. You got to ask yourself, how many people do I know I could fill? How many spots do I know I could fill? And you want to pick a bit of a stretch goal, so it pushes you and it forces you to do everything you can to fill it. But at the same time, you don't want to go too far and set unrealistic expectations and then fail to hit it. Because the beautiful thing about selling out is it trains your audience that if they don't act, they will miss out. We are not lying. There are 60 spots, and if you don't become one of those 60, you're going to miss out and you're going to not get the solution you want. And that way, next time when you reopen, that behavior is trained. People trust you. They believe you. They know what you're saying is true, and therefore they will take action quicker. So we picked 60 spots because we knew we could fill 50, probably no problem. We knew 60 would be a push. It would be tough. We'd have to work hard. It would be a lot of time. So we decided to push ourselves and go for 60 spots. Then once you have your offer set up and you know what problem you're solving and what solution you're providing, and you know you have the proof to back it up, you actually have done it before, so you can actually help people with it reliably, and you know who it's for, who you can actually help and who you can't help, so you don't get the wrong people in, because you don't want to sell people who you can't help. Otherwise, they'll just drain your time. They won't be happy. You won't be happy. We want beautiful money, win-win. You're ready to look at your attraction system of how do you find people who are interested in this. Now, we have a free community called Synthesizer, and it now has 24,000 members. And you might be thinking, oh, no wonder you could do a 350K launch, Aiden, with 24,000 members in the community. But in reality, there's a lot of people in scaling, for example, Jen here, who have a 0-person audience and still did 180K in 7 weeks. So you don't need a big audience in order to do a successful launch. And at the end of this, I'll walk through what I would do if I had no audience. So we looked at our community, and this then became validation of the offer, because we looked, are these people in the community the niche? Yes, they are. They're tied together again. Do these people want the outcome? Yes, they do. Are they struggling? Do they have a problem in reaching the outcome on their own? Yes, they are. Are they asking for help? Yes, they are. All these green flags, these check. It's all aligned. And how, in terms of how we grew Synthesizer, its traffic source is mainly from SKOOL Discovery, which is a bit of a cheat code. And if you don't know about it, I'd recommend looking into it in a little more detail. So on SKOOL, in Discovery, they have millions of visitors every month. And if you can rank on SKOOL Discovery, you're going to get free traffic. You're going to get free people joining your group. So if we go to money, currently we're ranked number 2 in money, which means all the millions of visitors on SKOOL, if they land on this page and they start to go through the hobbies and they maybe look at the money category, which is arguably the most visited category on SKOOL, the second community they're going to see is ours. And then if we look at why it's a free community, why freemium model, well, look at this. If you land on this community, you can join for $119 a month. To this community, $116, $184, $29, $149. This is the only free community. And on SKOOL, the average conversion rate of free communities is about 20%. And the average conversion rate of paid communities is about 4%, which means we're getting significantly more traffic than everybody else. And the reverse argument that people use against this is saying, oh, but when people pay, they pay attention. You're going to get lower quality people. You're going to get lower quality leads. But in reality, you're just going to miss out on all the leads by having it free, by losing that 16% conversion rate. And then it's your job to filter and only attract and only hit the right people in that group. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where the more people you get in your group, the higher you rank. So as soon as you break through into the top couple, let's say 1 to 10, it becomes a lot easier. It requires less work. It becomes insanely higher leverage, because since you're growing faster by ranking higher, you rank higher. And all of that free traffic goes into the free group. And that's why we have it set up that way. Now, in terms of the premium part of it, that's where the offer comes in. Because you are right. People don't pay attention when they don't pay. You can give someone the greatest course, the greatest help in the world, but they will not take action on it if they are not emotionally tied into taking action on it. And that's where the premium result part comes in. If you actually care about getting people results, you would charge money for it. And if otherwise, you're going to have a way lower success rate. And when you do it the right way, people are happy they paid you because they get a great ROI on their investment, whatever it may be. A CEO who wants to lose 30 pounds, if he invests in losing 30 pounds, he's going to be ecstatic to pay it and lose the weight. So that's the mentality, the shift you need to go through in your head. Now, back to this. We will go into more depth on this later, on the traffic sources, if you guys are interested, because there are a million things we could talk about. How do we get our first 1,000 members? How do we get our next 6,000? What do we do to get started? How do you launch one of these things? That is a video for another day, because today we're just talking about the launch. But if you're interested, we can talk about it in more depth. Then the second step, once we had our offer, we had our traffic source, was how do we convert these people into paying customers? How do we bring the right people to our door, knocking on our door, and turn away the wrong people? And I guess there's a little typo here. I meant to say booking calls, not cooking balls, but maybe that's the joke of the day. You need to cook balls. You need to book calls. And the goal of a launch is to book calls. You need to eliminate any other thoughts from your mind of sales pages, Stripe links, selling in the DMs, nothing. Again, if the goal is to make more money and help more people, the only logical, intelligent way of doing that is by booking calls. So how we book calls in a Skool community, how you launch, is very simple. And Skool has designed it in your favor. They've made it easy for you to do so. There's posts and there's appointment setting. You make posts and you do appointment setting. And from that, you book calls. So let's look at some of the posts. One of the first things we did, and at the beginning, when you're doing a launch, you want to begin to build energy, because launches are really based around energy. They're based around the desire, the demand in the market. If I just came out and made one post and said, book a call here, nobody would be interested. But if you can amplify the energy, test message resonance, where what you're talking about are things people really want, and then amplify the pain and the problem where they're in, and then make the ask, suddenly there's a ton of demand. And if you frame it in the right way, where they're clear of the value and clear that it's beneficial for them and it's helping them, that's when things work. So the first thing we did is we promoted a webinar to launch the call, to launch the offer. We did it live on a webinar because it was the most high energy way we could do it, involve the most people, and make it a community effort, not a solo effort. Again, it's not about you speaking and just selling your community. It's about you guys together solving a problem. You're on the same side. You and your leads, you and your attraction, you and your community, you and your audience on social media, you guys are on the same side and you're solving a problem together. As soon as you position yourself on the other side, where it's just you trying to sell them, that's when things go wrong. That's when there's a lot of this negativity, a lot of this guru talk, because you're just trying to sell. You're not trying to help people. So you need to reposition yourself on the same side so that it's clear you guys are solving a problem together. And how we did this at first was just establishing the value, establishing everything we've done. Proof. This does a few things. It amplifies the proof. People believe we can help them. They see what we have done and accomplished. It builds the energy where they see how much is being given. Jab, 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 jab. And it makes them excited for what's to come. Okay, what's coming next? When you read through this, you can see the evolution of the synthesizer community, and you can see how it has evolved and how this next stage is the final or the next evolution. And then we end by promoting the launch call. Add the call to your calendar here. And here it was just on Skool, made it very easy. Again, you can just add it to your calendar, and it worked really, really well. Then the second post was the call recording, because once you did the call, there's going to be people who missed the webinar. There's going to be people who didn't get it, people who want to rewatch it, and that's when you post the recording. So here we again shouted out our niche, shouted out the outcome. Very simple. Step 1, watch the video. Step 2, apply here. And if you're curious, you can watch this. I'll link it below. And it shows how we actually did the webinar, how we built the energy throughout it, how we showed the evolution. We talked about the problems. We talked about our proof. We revisited the things we talked about in that last post. We talked about all the proof. And then we went into the problem. And then we went into the solution of the problem, which was this new opportunity for everybody. And then you end by making a call to action to book a call. And that's essentially the core of it all. So here, at this point in time, we've done a webinar, we've tested, we've found message resonance, we've announced it, we've launched it. People are beginning to book calls, they're interested, but a lot of people are still, holding back, they're unsure. You can't stop here. Especially if you aim for a big stretch goal, you need to do everything in your power to reach that goal. And that's part of the benefit of setting clear spots early on. We knew we publicly said this, therefore we have to hit this, therefore we have to do whatever it takes to hit the goal. And that's where the rest of the posts come in. So after that, again, we shout out everything we do is doing a few things. All the content we are creating does a few things. It amplifies the problem. It calls out the niche of who we serve. It gives a call to action of next steps to solve the problem. It does all of these things to show people and get people to book a call, apply to get help. So here, attention educational creators, again, have you been wanting to make more money, help more people? Simple, we're using that outcome everywhere because it's the core of what we're talking about. And here we reveal the roadmap. Now this originally was actually what you call a 2-step post, where you say, comment and I'll send you the video. This creates a lot of opportunity for the appointment setting. It creates more conversation and it gets more people to raise their hands and say, hey, I might be interested in this. Then, since there were 725 comments, I made it more scalable and I just posted the video that we were giving away in the post. And in this one, what you are doing now is you aren't selling the offer, you aren't selling the solution, you aren't selling your offer, you're selling the mechanism. Because when you try and sell the offer too early and you try and sell what you're doing, it can turn people off. They might see something and they might say, this, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if that'll work for me. I'm not going to take action. But early on, you want to sell the mechanism, not you on the mechanism. You need to convince people they need to do this thing, and then you can convince them that you're the best thing to help them do that thing. So it's like, again, if we used Russell Brunson as an example, first, he convinces you that you need a funnel. First, all his messaging, you need a funnel. Funnel is going to solve all your problems. You need a great funnel. Then once you're convinced on that, then he can sell you on his mechanism of ClickFunnels. So none of this was selling our help. It was selling the roadmap of what you need to do. And then if you believe in that roadmap, the next logical step to accomplishing it is getting your help. So that's all this was. If we look at it here, it was just walking through the 0 to 100K a month roadmap that I'd followed, that we felt many customers and clients follow, and just showing them what I would do if I had to scale from 0 to 100K a month. Again, just walking through our roadmap. Free value. Give it away for free. People will pay for implementation. Looking at the next post. Here we talk about how to get 1 to 10 dream clients in 14 days. This then becomes value posts. We can get into sharing value, giving a peek under the hood of what you are doing inside the community. So in scaling, one of the things which I'll show you guys later, that we did with people was a rapid launch designed to get people 1 to 10 clients in 14 days. And therefore, I can then take that thing we're doing for paying customers and just give it away for free. So this was, again, a value post. You start by showing the proof of why people should listen to you. You always need to answer the question of why should I listen to you? And then you just get into the value. So I literally just broke down what I would do if I had to get 1 to 10 clients in 14 days. And at the end, you can give a little call to action. If this is interesting to you and you want help executing it, implementation, give away the value, sell the implementation, again, click here to apply. So you can see that all of these posts shared the same theme and they all built on each other logically with the end goal of booking calls. Next post. Here we did something that took advantage of the genuine urgency and scarcity that we had installed in the business by having only 60 spots. And as we were going, we began to fill these spots up, and the people who were on the fence, they were thinking about it, they would be able to then see this, see that spots are being filled up, and they're going to be more motivated to take action. Again, calling out the outcome. This is what we are helping people with. Here's a link for more information where we link to that video. There are 20,000 people in this community, only 60 spots. 5 days ago, I made a post saying there were 39 spots. Now there are X amount left. And what I would do is I'd come back. This post was pinned in the community. I would just come back and I would update it every time there was a new sale. So as you can see, 28 spots, 27 spots, 26 spots, 25 spots. Every time someone joined the program, I would update this to keep people who are on the fence active. And this also is incredibly helpful because the more you sell, the faster they go. And generally with a launch, most of your sales come at the beginning and at the end. Because at the beginning, you take advantage of the hype, the energy, people are ready to take action. Then things tend to slow down where people are thinking about it, making a decision, unsure. And at the end, it's like last chance, spots are going, your opportunity is disappearing. Take action and join now. And the last spots closed way quicker because people knew. They knew that if they didn't act, they would miss the opportunity. So that was a post we left pinned in the community for a little while, just to keep people aware of everything going on. Then, at this point in time, we decided to take things to the next level and make a guarantee post. So a guarantee post, the goal of a guarantee is to provide a safety net to people who are on the fence. Because at the end of the day, one of the things holding people back from taking action is confidence. How do I know this will work for me? What results can I expect? What can I expect from working with you guys? How do I know this will work for me? I don't know. Things haven't worked in the past. Why are you different? Everyone, they have these questions. We all have these questions when we're making decisions about things online. And a guarantee post provides a safety net where if you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you're thinking about jumping and someone's saying, hey, jump in the water, it's super warm and refreshing. And you're worried, oh, what if I hit the cliff? What if I can't make the jump? What if it's me, not them? What if there's sharks in the water? This is you just providing a little safety net to say, hey, even if you slip, even if you fall, you'll be caught, you'll be safe. There's no danger here. It adds to the conviction. And it does two things as well. It keeps you accountable to actually deliver on your promises, and it keeps them accountable for what they can expect from the program. So again, it's positioning you two on the same side where we're in this together, win-win, let's solve the problem, safety net protects both of us. And if we look at that, literally our guarantee we came up with was 10 high-ticket clients in 180 days. Because that's what we believed, and we know based on our history of helping people that we could get people this result. We were confident in it. So we just announced the guarantee. We explained how it works. You apply to join. If you're accepted, you receive a step-by-step roadmap. We directly mentor you to help you implement it. And if it doesn't work, then we don't want your money, first of all, because if what you are selling doesn't work, then you shouldn't ethically be selling it. And if you follow the roadmap and you don't get a result, we'll keep helping you until you get the result. A work for free guarantee. You can do all sorts of guarantees, money back guarantees. You can do red zone guarantees where you give back more than you are taking. But at the end of the day, the best guarantee we found, because we're confident in our system, is that if you do the work, it doesn't happen, we'll keep helping you for free. And that way, it also aligns with people who have different problems. Maybe something happens in month 3 where they need to take a break. They get injured, or they have a family emergency. Shit happens sometimes. And if they feel like something happens and then they're left behind and they're screwed, they're not going to feel confident in making a decision. So again, click here to apply or comment below. And then we explain, why do we have this guarantee? Because guarantees are risky. You don't always want to use a guarantee because it can show a lack of confidence in your product sometimes if you do it the wrong way. So why do we have a guarantee? Because we don't want your money unless we know we can help you. That's the core of it all, beautiful money. And it holds us accountable to only accept people we know we can help. Otherwise, we get screwed by the guarantee. And then again, explaining why are we promoting this? We don't want to sell out. We want to sell out with the highest quality members possible. We cancel most applications. And this is actually very true. Probably canceled 50% of people who were interested in working with us because we only wanted the best people. Now, after the guarantee post, this is when things are really rocking and rolling. You're booking lots of calls. Everything's working, and you just take it to the next level. You finish strong. So 4 days left. There were 10 spots left. So we made an announcement post saying there's 4 days left. Urgency, scarcity, 10 spots. Scarcity and urgency, very similar, but very different. Scarcity is the number of spots. There's 10 spots left. There's only 10 spots. That's scarce. And then urgency is time-based, 4 days. So there's a difference between the two, but you can leverage both of them. And then we just say, hey guys, just a friendly reminder, this is your last chance. If you've been thinking about it, now's the time to pop in there and apply. And at this point in time, we were confident we would already sell out. We had enough calls booked. We had enough applications. We had a couple hundred people who had applied, booked calls, but we wanted again to cover all our bases. Make sure we're doing everything possible to hit the goal, and also everything possible to get the right people in. And then finally, the final post, once you do all of these things, let's say you book a ton of calls, everything works, which it did, then you can announce it's sold out. And the reason you announce it's sold out is because you're announcing you kept your promise. I told you guys there were 10 spots left. I said there was 4 days left to take action, and I wasn't lying. Now, again, when we get into the future, there's trust built between your audience. If you promise something, you promise you're going to deliver something, you stay true to your word. You close down. And we had people who came after. We had probably 20 to 30 people who came after, were messaging me, Aiden, please just accept my money, just let me in. And we turned them away because we stayed true to our promise. We stayed true to what we were saying. And here there can be a little bit of a greed thing, where after you do this and you have this opportunity for more, some people will think, what if I just sell more spots? What if I just open a few bonus seats? Just let a few extra people in. No one will know, right? But it's just not ethical. And also it trains your audience that you're not true, you're not honest, which will then have long-term ramifications on the business. So those are all the launch posts we made. Hope it was valuable. Close the wrong tab. Let me re-pull it up. Here we go. And then the other thing is that people like to think. People don't like to take action because they like to be comfortable where they are. They've been sitting in their problem. They've been sitting and struggling for a while, and they don't want to take action. They don't want to change because change is difficult. Change is hard. Change is tough. Change requires them to change, and people don't like to change. So instead of waiting and hoping for people to see what you're doing and take action and decide now's the time to change, you have to aggressively pursue it. And you need to amplify the pain in them and talk to them and give them a reason to take action and give them the confidence and certainty and clarity to answer their questions. Because half the time, there's going to be a lot of people who are reading these posts, who are thinking about it, saw all this stuff, saw all these good things, and they're just thinking like, what if this doesn't work for me? What if this guarantee doesn't apply to me? What does that even mean? What if that rapid launch thing, I don't even know how it works. They have these unanswered questions. So you need to use the posts as an opportunity to start conversations, which then become more calls booked, which again is the goal of a launch. So here with appointment setting, you can just we just went to our posts and we looked at who liked it, who commented, and let's talk to them. Send a simple DM. Hey, Alan. Hey, Fred. Hey, Ted. Notice you commented on the post about this. And then you can ask a question. And here, the gold standard, the old reliable, the Honda Civic, always can rely on it of appointment setting, is just a AAA framework. Where whenever you're having a conversation with someone, you just need to acknowledge, add, and ask. And if you just incorporate this into every conversation you have, they can all become appointment setting conversations. So acknowledging is when you acknowledge what they're saying, you acknowledge their thing, you're having a conversation, you're not just asking questions, it's not one way, it's a two-way street. Totally, man, I totally understand where you're coming from. You acknowledge what they're saying, you add value, you add something. I used to feel that exact same way. I used to wonder if I could create a community and do a successful launch. And then you ask, now, what do you think the main problem is that's holding you back from taking action on this? And it just keeps the conversation logically flowing where you don't get lost in the weeds. Because one of the hardest things about setting is you can get lost in the weeds. And at the end of the day, you're there to help. And you want to do that in an organic, authentic way where you're building a relationship. But you also need the conversation to progress to a logical outcome. And this is how you do it. That simple. This is my default go-to anytime I'm having a conversation. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to progress it. Acknowledge, add, ask. And then you do the exact same thing as your launch posts. Hey man, well listen, if you're interested in getting some help with this, there's 10 spots left in synthesizer scaling. Would love to see you apply, maybe get on a call, see if it's a good fit for you. Just check it out here, book a call, and you just reuse your call to action from your launch posts in the DMs. And I would say that about 50-50 of our clients and of our booked calls came from the launch post and came from the appointment setting. You can make the best posts in the world, but people still won't always book. And this is where you add in the unscalable points, the unscalable leverage. Then once you get them on a call, you need to actually convert them. And here again, people do this wrong all the time, where you focus on the sale. And here, as synthesizers, I've talked about this already, our goal is to help people. We don't want to care about the sale. You go into the call without even thinking about the sale. That is far from your mind. You do not care about the sale. All you care about is as if you were a doctor. You care about diagnosing their problems and seeing if you can help them. Because if you can help them solve their problem, then you have an ethical obligation to show them how. But if you can't help them, you have an ethical obligation not to convert them. So the frame when you go onto a call is you are a doctor, you are here to diagnose, you're here to help, you're here to figure out the problem, figure out the pain the problem is causing them, and then offer them a solution, offer them help. And the way that I do this is, of course, you start the call by setting the frame. You want to set a strong frame on the call. Thanks for booking in. How this will work is I'll start by just asking a few questions, about your application or about what you're working on. Then I'll explain how our program works if I think I can help. And at the end, you can decide if you want to work with us or not. Something like that. Just made that up on the spot. And then you want to diagnose the gap. This is the discovery part of the call. And the gap specifically is the gap between where they are now and where they want to be. And when you define those two things, there becomes a void in the middle. And that void causes pain. And it amplifies the pain of being stuck and the pain of staying stuck in where they are and the desire of where they want to go. And when you do this the right way, that's when buying behavior happens. Because they see where they are, they see where they want to go, and if you can show a logical bridge of how you'll help them cross that gap, then it makes absolute sense to work with you. And again, you want to go deep here. You don't want to go surface level and just ask a few questions and move on. You want to genuinely diagnose and dive deep into where they're at and help them to amplify it. Because if there is no pain, there is no action. There is no change. And people only choose to take action when they're aware of the pain that they are in and the pain of the situation is causing them. And then the pitch is the bridge, the logical bridge, where you say, I have gone over this gap many times. I've helped people like you go over this gap. Here's how it works. And you just explain your pitch. And I won't go into too much depth on sales here because it again could be a 4-hour-long video. But this is the core of it all. And once you have pitched, people will have concerns, which are objections. And objections aren't bad. Objections are good. Objections are a good thing because it shows they have concerns. It shows you where their fears are. It shows you what they're scared of and what's holding them back from taking action. And if you can help them overcome those things, then they're one step closer to reaching the result on their own. So here you want to handle concerns. And again, you can default to something like this, where you acknowledge the concern, you add, and you ask. If someone says, oh, I'm just unsure if I have the time for this right now. Totally, man. Completely understand that. Some of our best clients come in and they say the same thing. They're busy. And we love working with people who are busy because it shows you got great work ethic. And it shows that if we give you something, you're actually going to do it. Now, when you say you don't have time right now, what specifically do you mean by that? Could be something as simple as that. You just acknowledge their concern. You make them feel safe, show them they're safe, add value to the concern, help shift the perception around the concern, and then ask to isolate the concern further so you can handle it accurately. And when you do these things right, then you can collect payment and close on the call. And on every call, you want to close in either one way or another. And there are only two things first we accept on a call. It's a yes or a no. Anything else is a concern. Anything else is a smokescreen. And if you give people the right information, they should be able to make a decision, and you should be able to get a yes or a no. And a no is okay. A no is completely fine. In fact, you want no's because it helps you improve. But if you're not getting a no, you're getting, maybe, let me think about it, I don't know. Those are showing an unhandled concern. And even if you can't close, you always close anyways with a BAM fam, book a meeting from a meeting. Where instead of waiting, instead of saying, oh yeah, let's talk in a few days from now, I'll see you around, I'll send you a message, you actually go out there and you say, listen man, are you free Thursday same time? Would love to revisit this, talk about it a little more. And you book a meeting from a meeting instead of waiting and hoping that they come back to you. So you always want a yes or a no. And if you have to, if you're really struggling, you just can't get either a yes or a no on the call, then you default to a close anyways, where you close on a second meeting, you BAM fam. And this was the exact process we followed that booked a couple hundred calls and allowed us to close 60 people. That was it. Post, appointment setting, to call, to take the call, diagnose the gap of where they're at, pitch the bridge, handle concerns, collect payment. It's that simple. Now and only now do you work on the delivery systems. Because if I had spent all of my time building out a course, building out a program from day one, I would have had no time to write posts, to do appointment setting, and to book and take calls. Hundreds of people booked a call. If I was building a course at the same time, I would not be able to take those calls. And now that customers were coming through the door, I had access to them. And I could build the product for them. You see, great products are built with customers, not for customers. And this is a huge mistake that I have made that has cost me a lot of time and money. Great products are built with customers, not for them. And what that means is when you have sold someone and you've got them in the door, you can evaluate where they're at and what next step they need. And you might have painted a picture of the dream program and what they need to do from the day one. And you might have spent all this time building it. And then they hit step 2 and they get stuck on a problem that you didn't notice. They get stuck on something that you didn't realize and you didn't include, and therefore they never get the result because they never made it past step 2. And when you build it with them, it allows you to find those sticking points and then solve them as you go. And this creates a great product. And if we even look at SKOOL, this is how SKOOL is built. They build something, they help people with it, and then they evaluate and see what people need next on the platform. And then they build that. They don't build 20 steps ahead. They don't build 100 steps ahead. They build it for their customers as they go. And how we literally do this tangibly, so you don't have to just think about the logistics of it all, is by setting a weekly cycle where every week we drop the next phase of the roadmap. So in week 1, we covered the first step. In week 2, we released the second step. And then after we release the first step, people are going through it, they're taking action. That gives us a week to build the next step. And it forces us to have a timeline, which forces us to stay consistent in building it so we actually finish it. Because if you just set a project, I'm going to build something, it will take forever unless you have deadlines to force you to finish it. And it also forces you to overcome your perfection syndrome, where we always try and be perfect. We always try and make things perfect. And if I didn't have this, I guarantee you I would spend months on each phase because I'd always notice things to improve. But by having a deadline, it forces you to ship it, forces you to take action, and it forces the people you are selling to take action alongside you, which will then show you what's working and allow you to improve it and create the final product as you go. So every week on Sunday, we release the next phase of the program, which involves a live call where we go over it, and then the training dripped out, and then implementation throughout the week where we hold people's hands, we answer questions, and we help them take the actions. And all of this is focused on actions, not theory. Because the worst thing you can do is overwhelm people with loads and loads of theory. And we wanted to avoid that completely. Because at the end of the day, if someone takes action and doesn't have theory, or has theory but doesn't take action, who's going to get the result? It's going to be the person who takes action. So that's why we focus on action steps, and anything that they don't need to take an action, we ignore. We remove from the program because that is just going to cause overwhelm. And you can see on the calendar what this looks like is on Sunday, we do the drop where we drop the content, we release the next phases, and then we have implementation during the week, and of course posts and feedback and support in the community at the same time. And did it work? That's the next question of the day. So we talked about building as you go, starting with the offer, booking calls, launching it, selling, and then delivering as you go. But none of this matters if it doesn't work. And if we look in the community and we look In the wins category, maybe let's filter by top, we'll see that it very well has been working. It's not smoke in your ass. It's not claiming. We're doing it, we're seeing how it works, and then we're sharing how it works. So if we look through the wins, we can see Kuhn, within the first week or so of the program, closes his first client. Ismail, $3,600 client. Nikki, client number 2. Jasmine, $15,000 in 1 week. Guy got his first client, high ticket client ever. Jen did $180K in 7 weeks. Pretty incredible. Ismail, first $25K month after becoming a synthesizer. Nick, first $10K month. Alex sold out his program, $21K in deals. Daniel, first $5K client. Giselle sold out her program. Alex, first client. Cam, Nikki again, Olga, Nick. You can see that it works. That's why we do it this way, because it works. So how do you do this if you don't have a big audience? Next question of the day. What do you do if you don't have a big audience? And the truth is, you don't need a big audience to do a successful launch. And the scale of the results you can get with your launch can depend on the size of the opportunity available to you, but everyone should start their business with the launch because it takes advantage of so many different things. And if you just decide to, if you are thinking, I need to start a business, I want to start, I don't know how to start, I don't have an audience, I don't have anything going for me, and you just spend all your time trying to build these systems, you will waste years trying to get it all right. But if you go out and you take action, it'll teach you the solutions you need to make. You'll solve your problems organically as you go, which will then create the solution of your product 100 million times better. And the beautiful part about this is you practice what you preach. You are selling what you are doing. And if you are ever selling something you aren't doing, I would consider reevaluating what you're selling. And here, what we've noticed is a lot of people have a bigger audience than you think. And the analogy here is a beggar sitting on a box. And I want you to picture that you are you're a beggar, you're sitting on a box outside of a house, and you're trying to beg for scraps, get your first client, get things figured out. You just have your hat in front of you and you're asking for coins. And then someone comes by, maybe us, and we point and say, hey, what are you sitting on there? And then because you're not even aware of it, it's outside of your perception. It's like you have horse blinders on because you're so focused on all the overwhelming steps of starting a business. You're not focusing on what you got. You don't even look underneath you. You don't even look at what's already within your control. But if you just looked underneath where you were sitting and open up the box, you might find it's filled with gold. And the classic example here is Jen, who had zero audience. And by going through this launch process that I'm about to show you, she found an opportunity that she was sitting on and wasn't even aware of that resulted in such a huge number. So here's exactly what we walk people through to do a big launch without an audience. And the first thing that you should do is create your backbone. And just like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this call, all you need to start is your offer, a solution to a problem. And your business backbone is that foundational first step that you need. You cannot start a business unless you have a solution to a problem, unless you have a good understanding of your offer, including your niche, your outcome, your mechanism, your price. As soon as you have these things down, all that's left is to take action and pursue it. So that's why the very first thing, the very first day of the program, we got everyone to build their business backbone, including their vision. What are they trying to accomplish? You can't set sail unless you know what port you are sailing to. A ship doesn't know which way to sail until it knows its port. Seneca says this. So by setting down your vision, setting a clear goal of what you're trying to accomplish, you know where you're going to sail, and it teaches you the action steps of how you need to sail there. And then we start building our offer by looking at our proof, because offers are built on proof, not the other way around. And if you don't have any proof of your offer, no one's going to listen to you. We couldn't have made this offer of helping educational creators grow their businesses, scale from $10,000 to $100,000 a month, if we haven't done that. Who would believe us? We wouldn't be able to deliver the result because we wouldn't know how to accomplish it. So your offers are always based around the proof you have. And then your proof also teaches you your niche, and your niche teaches you your offer. And all of these things are aligned. They're together. They're not necessarily separate, where you're looking at them as a part of a whole. They're all part of a whole instead of separate pieces. And if you're trying to find these things on their own, you're going to get stuck. But when you start to look at them as they are tied together, you get the bigger picture, you get the correct answer. So you ask yourself, who can I help? Who can I help? And a great niche results in income, impact, and purpose, and a poor niche results in no income, no impact, and no fun. So you ask yourself, who are the people I can help? Who are the people I can't help? Based on my proof, based on what I've done. And that helps you then create your offer. And your offer, again, is very simple. Here we overcomplicate it again. We think about all these different pillars, all these different deliverables. But at its core, all an offer is me saying, I will help you get this thing you want if you give me X. It's a transaction between you and your niche. And the offer sits in the middle. And when you have your niche and you know what you can offer, what problems you can help someone solve, and you know who has those problems and who wants that outcome, then you can just present the offer to them. And then the backstory is your story of how you overcame that, how you achieved that, and how you are going to help other people do it too. And your backstory becomes your messaging. Your backstory becomes your business. Because the dream creator setup is when your current situation is the same as your niche's desired situation. You are living what your niche wants to achieve. For example, if I was a health and fitness coach and I was trying to help people lose weight, but I was overweight, no one would believe me. It wouldn't work. Versus if I had a six-pack and I said, I'm going to help you get a six-pack by showing you what I did to get a six-pack, you were going to believe me. So your current situation, when your current situation is the same as your niche's desired situation, that's when your marketing becomes easy, because you're not speaking to a market, you're speaking to the old version of yourself. You're sharing what you wish you knew a year ago when you were facing the problems your niche is facing. And your past situation is your niche's current situation. So wherever they are stuck is where you used to be stuck. And that will therefore allow you to speak to them because you've been there and you have empathy. You know where they are, you know where they're stuck, and you can help them overcome it. And when you hit these pillars, you have the backbone of your business. You have everything you need to take action and to start selling. And we believe this is so important, even for people who are far ahead. We've had people come into the program already making $35K, $40K a month. We've had people come in making $0 a month. Every person goes through this because it is so important and critical to the business. This one exercise can establish your next 5 years, your next 10 years. It can ruin the next 5 and 10 years, or it can create an insanely high leverage opportunity for you to hit all your goals. And we took it so seriously that we did 4 full days of background reviews, which was almost 30 hours of just working with people through their business backbones, ensuring that everything was correct before we did anything else. 3 days back to back to back. And then a bonus day. 8 hours on call, just helping people define this. That's how important this is. Now, once you have your backbone, you have the ship you are sailing in, you need to follow a rapid launch protocol so that you can build it and you can make it a reality. And that next step, we narrowed it down into 3 phases. There are 3 phases to launching your offer. And the first is the prep. And the prep is preparing and making sure you are taking advantage of the right opportunities. So for us, we did an opportunity audit and we realized, we have this incredible community where people are suffering from this problem and they want help and there is no solution for them. This is our opportunity. All we need to do is focus on this one channel. And maybe you don't have an audience, but it doesn't matter. Everyone here has something going for them. They have something going for them in terms of their network. They have some sort of audience. They have friends. They have family. If you've been working in a field for a while, people are going to be aware of you. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. There is opportunity for everybody to launch and make something happen. And it looks something like this to give you a little peek. There's a network audit where you dive into your network and you look at who are the people I know? What email contacts do I have? What phone contacts do I have? What friends do I have? What Instagram followers do I have? Twitter followers, LinkedIn, SKOOL, chat members. Who knows me, who I could talk to and maybe start conducting research with, start figuring things out, start taking action, start booking calls. And it is a volume game. And there's two pillars here. There's the network, where you look at who you know and who knows you. And then there's the audience. And we all have audience, even if it's small. And for me, my first 10K a month business was built on the back of 2,000 Twitter followers. That's it. I had 2,000 people who knew me and followed me on Twitter, and that created a 10K a month business. And that created the opportunity to start a bigger business and to continue to scale up. So the lesson here is to always use what you got. Why would you start from 0 when you could start from 1? Going from 1 to 2 is a lot easier than going from 0 to 1. So make the most of the network and opportunities you have. And once you have defined those opportunities, you start to prep and you start to find message resonance. And this is a big one because we start this with an idea of our business backbone, an idea of what people want, what problems people are facing, and theories, if you will. And as we go through the launch, we begin to test those theories and find message resonance. What do people think about it? We begin to find message resonance. And within that, we are doing prep posts. So prep posts are just test posts. You're teasing, you're whispering about problems, you're trying to find what people are struggling with, you're talking about your proof, and you're conducting research. And one example from someone here is from teaching men's fashion. Want me to coach you? We can discuss all these different things. Fill out the form in the comments to apply. You're just beginning to test if your theory of your business backbone aligns with your audience. And you do chats. You talk to people. You talk to your market. You need to spend time in the market talking to people to figure out what it is they want and need. And you can do research calls. Again, this is all to fine-tune the message resonance of your offer. And in this stage for us, when we went through this, we realized we were actually missing something. We had an improvement offer, not a new opportunity offer. And we actually made a pivot mid-launch where we pivoted to talking more about the freemium school opportunity simply based on our research and based on following this process ourselves, which then made the launch 10 million times better. And some people like Jen, who I just mentioned, went through this process and found a new opportunity that she wasn't even aware of. Or Greg in the community. He went through this process, found a new opportunity he wasn't even aware of. And then that opportunity solved his problems and helped him reach his goal. And it ended up being a 30K deal that he signed, just like that. And then the action steps. We always end any training on action steps to make sure people take action and actually get the results. So the first step is defining your backbone, getting that idea of your offer and your niche and who you're marketing to and what you're selling. Then you need to start testing it. You need to make sure that you're not shooting blind and it's not just a guess. It's not theory. It's proven and validated by the market, which is the first step to finding product market fit through testing message resonance. And then you start to attract. This is when you start to book calls. And we don't worry about taking calls. We don't worry about sales or anything until we have calls to be taken. So you can set up your calendar. You make launch posts. You do launch chats. And that's it, all with the premise of booking calls. And for some people, they spend most of their time in the DMs if they don't have a big audience. Some people, if they have a small audience, they spend most of their time on posts. But the whole point of this is to take advantage of the opportunities you have so you can get your first few clients. And once you begin attracting, this is when you start to book calls. So at this point in time, most people in the program were starting to book calls, and they needed then to be a doctor, diagnose, pitch the bridge, and get the close. So only now that people are booking calls do we cover sales. We don't cover it in week one and overwhelm people and show them all these things that they don't need. We only give it to them when they need it. That is another core lesson. So we go over the training. We give them a full sales script so they don't have to guess. They don't have to figure it out. And we walk through what I just showed you, what I just told you, of doing discovery, pitch, and objection handling. So for you, if you're starting out, you have to build your backbone, create an offer, test if this offer is in demand and something people actually want, start booking calls, and then you need to present the offer on calls. And only then, only once you start doing this and you've gotten your first client, do you worry about delivering. You don't build any of that until you have clients to deliver for, because you're going to be wasting so much time. And for most people here, their main bottleneck, their core bottleneck is is, not either. It's is. People aren't aware of them. They don't have enough eyeballs. They don't have any calls booked. They haven't presented their offer to anyone. They haven't pitched it enough. So you should spend 100% of your time on that bottleneck before worrying about a future bottleneck of what do I do once someone buys. So once you get someone in, you cover the first step where you start to outline the program of what you need to do for that person to get them the result. Then you cover the onboarding. You onboard them into the program and get them started with energy. You have your first call with them, your first session with them, whatever the first thing you do is, and then you build it for them as you go, just like I walked through how we're doing, where you build it out 1 week at a time based on the next logical step they need. And that's it. That is how you do a launch, even if you don't have an audience. Create an offer, figure out what opportunities and what network and what things you can take advantage of to get your first customers and create that momentum. Because the number one thing holding most people back is just a little bit of momentum. Their first sale, once you get that first sale, you just repeat successful actions to get more and more and more of them. Then attraction, booking calls, conversions, taking calls, and then delivery, delivering results and building it for the clients as you go. So at this point in time, if this was interesting to you and you liked what was in the community and you want to be part of it next time, I invite you to click the link in the description here or pinned below so that you guys can join the waitlist and check it out. And again, now you know we will sell out again when we reopen again. That is a given. We've proven it and we've proven we can get results. So if you're interested, if you want help, click the link and you can join the waitlist. That is not a guarantee you're getting in, and that is not a guarantee you'll even get a chance to get in. It's just an opportunity to chat, find out where you're struggling and what you might need help with. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for your time, and I'll stop sharing. All right, now at this point in time, we can do some questions. What questions do you guys have for me about all of that?